It's a wonderful night in Minneapolis, March 2017. I am Frank, and this is the Minnesota Skinny, episode 25, quarter century old. This week I met up with Mark Schwant at Bauhaus Brew Labs. Bauhaus is easily one of the beer industry leaders when it comes to media and marketing, and they take the phrase family business to a whole new level. I'm talking all hands on deck, and Mark laid it all out for me. How the crew does it, what goes into their media presence, what goes into the beer, whole shebang. I even wore a morph suit. It was fabulous. This week, if you don't have plans, or even if you do have plans, they're not as cool as this. Get down to the Roy Wilkins Auditorium Saturday night for the Minnesota Roller Girls Season 13 Championship bout. My Dagger Dolls are facing the Atomic Bombshells for the right to watch me drink out of the Golden Skate. Baby, I'm sure there are other privileges too, but whatever. That starts at 7 p.m., doors at like 6. Get your ass down there. Got all kinds of roller derby material up on my website, minnesotaskinny.com. You can check it out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, at MNSkinny. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Google Play, everywhere, anything. Now, we're at the Blue Door Pub on Como and University, and Andy Carlson is here. His podcast, Purple for the Win, can be heard on ESPN 1500, Podcast One, and anywhere else where you can find the finest in podcasting. Last week I took part in his newest project, The Bull Show, and now he's on my show, Sunday Sales Pass.
Yeah.
It's official. It's here. Liquor on Sundays. We're going to have it July.
Well, there's still time for Dayton to mess this up.
I don't think Dayton's going to mess it up. I think Dayton doesn't want to be the governor who messes this up.
Yeah.
I think he wants to finally get this done and over with. He said for years that he'll sign it if it makes it to his desk.
What was the vote count for the Senate?
Vote count for Senate, I'm seeing 38 to 28.
Wow, that's still relatively close.
Yeah. After the House crushed it, passed Senate Committee 7 to 4.
Yeah.
You had posited at one point that marijuana sales might be legal here before Sunday liquor sales.
There's still time. They got to expedite it.
Yeah, I suppose. Have it done by June 30th. Out there, how is the marijuana lobby doing here? Have you heard anything?
I have no idea. I'm kind of an impartial observer there, but I think I'm gonna have a marijuana advocate on the show here next week.
Okay.
So we'll see you there. It's like Sunday sales. It's a foregone conclusion. Like 5 years from now, it's going to be fully established. It's going to end,
and we're going to be wondering why the debate lasted this way.
Yeah.
But enough about that. Let's start with your life story in 6 words or less.
Must do more podcasts because nice.
Did you have a beer today to celebrate Sunday sales?
I have not, but I will eventually. How about yourself?
Not yet. I was in work. I was at work when I first heard in a meeting.
What was your reaction?
I was happy, but I was also really focused.
Yeah.
I happened to scroll on my Twitter feed, like at a slow point in the meeting, and everyone's like, "I'm drinking a beer for Sunday sales," and I'm like, "I'm having a 5 whys diagram." Woo! You said you're from Korea, right?
Yep.
Came over at age 3.
9 months.
From the cities originally, or no?
No, from southeastern Minnesota, like the one corner of the state that doesn't care about hockey.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how'd you get into football?
Just kind of grew up with it, and then, of course, the '98 Vikings took hold, and I think that captured a lot of teenage boys and girls around the state.
Who was the first Viking you were really into? Like, who was your first poster?
Chris Carter.
Chris Carter?
Yeah.
Do you remember the poster? Tell me about the poster.
Not the Carter one specifically, but I had the poster that everyone had, the 3 deep one, when Randy Moss got here. Moss, Carter, and Jake Reed.
Yeah. So how did that passion turn into podcasting?
Well, it just started off me wanting to complain about Leslie Frazier, and just recording that, and figured I'd email it to some of my friends, but one of them told me to put it online, and some people downloaded it, and it kept growing from there, and now it just got picked up by 1500 last season, and yeah, things are keep moving on up.
Was the goal for it to get as big as it is now, or did that just kind of happen?
Just kind of happened, but now that it's happened, definitely wanted to get bigger.
Let me ask you this: do you think people start podcasts and give up on them too soon?
Well, the barrier to entry for podcasts is so low that anyone with any jabroni with a microphone and a Libsyn or SoundCloud account can start. But
see, also me.
But the great thing about it is that if you have quality and if you have something to say and you publish regularly, you're going to be able to establish an audience, and that will grow itself organically. Now, a lot of people want to come out of the gate and be Adam Carolla or Joe Rogan. That's just not going to happen overnight. But if you're dedicated to what you have to say, and it's got to be more than just being popular out there. You actually have to have a point of view that people will be interested in. And it's not going to happen overnight, but if you put in the work and you get good guests, you make good connections, they can grow from there.
You make a good point about the numbers and the people who, if they're not Mark Maron in 6 months, they think they're a failure. But sometimes people forget to take into account the fact that Mark Maron has like 1,000 episodes out there.
Yeah.
So, he's been doing it for years and years and years. And how many shows are you doing right now? So you got the Bull Show, you got Purple for the Win,
Yep.
you got the Football Machine.
Yeah, Football Machine, and then that I do with the Reef Hassan and Luke Inman, and then the Dad Mode podcast, which is weekly, just bitching about being a parent.
How do you balance all those?
Just have a set schedule, and I'm not gonna lie, being busy, it prioritizes like regular work. It make sure that you get stuff done in a timely fashion. Otherwise, you'll be completely in the weeds, and it actually helps.
I mean, and then you do the Bull Show daily, right?
Yeah.
How do you keep the content fresh and across all of those formats, and then one you're doing every day? How do you keep from falling into what you were talking about yesterday, or if it happens, it happens?
Well, you look at people who have daily talk radio shows, and they always find something to talk about. And the best thing about the news, it's 24/7, so there'll always be news stories to comment on, get your point of view. And now with the president, that's always a circus.
Yeah. He's always something.
There's always a little something.
What shows do you listen to?
Mainly, I try to stay away from local stuff, mainly because I never want to be accused of lifting a bit or a narrative or a phrase or anything like that. But I'll listen to Adam Carolla, all the various shows that he does, Joe Rogan, Dan Carlin's Hardcore History, which it's a favorite of mine. He does like 4 episodes a year, except they're like 6 hours long.
Jeez.
Yeah, they're like audiobooks.
So it's like a Netflix binge, except listening.
Yeah, super interesting.
Do you want to talk Vikings a little bit? Do you want to talk Vikings?
Yeah, sure. Send them out.
When's free agency start?
It starts unofficially on the 7th, so in a week.
March 7th, okay.
And officially on the 9th.
Where are they going after?
Well, offensive line will always be a priority. Andrew Whitworth is going to be out there. Kevin Zeitler are the big names. And then, of course, you got guys like Ricky Wagner, Larry Warford, Riley Reef. Rick Spielman said today that he's going to be active in free agency, that's for sure. And the Vikings, especially if they move on from Adrian Peterson, that's still up in the air. They have plenty of cap space to throw some money around.
I feel like offensive line has been a priority of theirs for a while. And I think a lot of teams are in that same boat. Why are good offensive linemen so hard to find all of a sudden? Or is it just the amount of skill on the other side of the ball now?
I think it's skill on the other side of the ball, and also the fact that college has gone to more of a finesse spread offenses, that the hardcore and meat and potatoes offensive linemen are hard to find now. And you're starting to see that in the NFL there's maybe 3 decent offensive lines. 3, maybe 4 good offensive lines.
Oh, and they stand out like crazy.
And all you need, all Vikings fans want is mediocrity at the offensive line instead of bad. Like instead of being 32nd in the league, just be 15th.
Yeah. Who's first cut? Who do you think's first notable cut?
Well, Adrian Peterson's kind of a given. As far as names, that Brian Robinson's going to be restructured. He says he's open for that. I don't see too many other surprise cuts other than hopefully Chad Greenway retires. He's an unrestricted free agent. And I don't think they bring Matt Khalil back if they can find better options for free agency.
How do you feel about Terrence Newman? I think Terrence Newman's toast. I think he's out.
Yeah. It'd be nice to have him back because he played at a high level with Xavier Rhodes stepping up this year. But if they don't bring him back, that shows that they have a little bit of faith in Trey Waynes. And I'm not sure if that's properly placed faith, but we'll see.
Not as a believer, but just objectively, do you think the Vikings could be that team playing the first home Super Bowl?
It's easy to say yes right now, but if things get shored up in free agency and they're able to run the ball and Sam Bradford isn't checked on Charlie, I mean, crazier things have happened.
They would have to what? They have to win the North, obviously.
Yeah.
Beat that team in the wild card round, and I don't think, I don't know, like, who are they going to get in the wild card? Like the Giants maybe, or like the Packers. Beat that team. Go to probably, are Atlanta and Dallas going to do that again, or?
Dallas, yes. Atlanta, no.
Okay. So they go out to, or maybe the Vikings get the 2 seed.
Yeah.
And then they win the conference championship in Dallas, probably.
Yeah.
Do they have the goods to beat Dallas?
I think so. Ironically, the Cowboys on offense play how the Vikings want to play, or they wanted to play last year, but couldn't quite get it done up front. And you see with Dallas is that with that great offensive line, they have such great flexibility of what they can do. Also, it helps that they have a pretty good running back and quarterback in Des Bryant, too.
You couldn't see it well while we were talking here, but Andy's actually getting his next bowl show set. He's got like 8 minutes before his show's about to start, so I'll let him get to that. Andy, before we take off here, why don't you hit him with the website, social media, anywhere people can find more information about the Bull Show and Purple for the Win.
The website is bullshow.co. Follow us on Twitter at bullshowandy. Also on Facebook, we need your thumbs on there. Purple for the Win, it's on iTunes, on 1500, it's on purpleftw.com. You'll figure it out.
All right, out to Bauhaus Brew Labs, where Mark Schwant and I are talking about the Sunday Sales Ban. That was always my biggest beef with the Sunday Sales Ban, was that it just made us look bad. It was just kind of one of those like stupid, embarrassing laws. It's like, it's 2017. Why do we still have this?
Well, even some places in the Bible Belt have Sunday sales, you know, and
yeah.
But I feel like, especially with our growing brewing industry and distilling industry, there's a lot of blue laws that need to catch up, and it's going to take public perception and, you know, maybe a little bit of pushing conservative people into a direction that's like, this is okay, this is a good thing.
One observation I made when they had the reps who voted, one of the reps was one who voted against it. When I was living in Woodbury, I know because I wrote her, and she sent me a letter back saying, you know, I'm not voting against it because this and this and this. This year she voted for the lifting the ban. So,
well, people are just getting comfortable. I say people must be getting comfortable with the idea behind it. I got to be honest, I don't know the actual sales numbers in comparison, like to what Wisconsin makes on a weekend or on a Sunday, I should say, with those liquor sales in terms of tax. But I know the biggest opponent of Sunday sales in a lot of ways are actual liquor stores because of labor costs. They're afraid they're not going to sell as much. But at the same time, it's, you know, it works everywhere else. Why wouldn't it work here?
Yeah. Well, so many of Minnesota's biggest cities were right on the border of Wisconsin, right on the border of North Dakota. Mm-hmm. So we were all getting our beer on Sundays either way.
Exactly. And, you know, I was like, it's funny that yesterday somebody I saw wrote on Facebook, like, oh, heading over to Wisconsin for a beer run, we forgot to pick some up. And I wrote, like, just to remind you, every local brewery that you know of sells growlers on Sundays. So you can do that next time. But I think people forget that exists, so that's even an option.
Yeah.
So liquor sales as a whole on Sundays, I think, will be a good thing for our market.
Looking at your tap list, I see you have 5 seasonals up there.
Currently, yeah.
Which kind of makes sense because this, like, Minnesota's had all 4 seasons, I think, in like the last week. So
you make a good point there. In terms of our seasonals and current seasonals, we ratcheted things up this year, and we wanted to have more options for seasonals. So Tallander being our Scottish style dark ale, that's kind of like a winter beer in whole. That's like a 3-month beer. So that's going to be available, for the foreseeable future. Winterloper is obviously kind of like our December release. We have a very finite amount of that left. Beach Baller came out last month. That's our double alt beer, and then Uber Duber just came out, and that's sort of our vacation in a glass, take people out of the sting of winter. But actually, I'm pretty excited that we have them all on at the same time right now, because it's nice to have our core beers plus that many seasonals.
I know they're only supposed to be seasonals, but would you ever change your mind if one of them just blew up? Like, let's say, Uber Duber just came out, a month ago?
Yeah, I would say that. 2 or 3 weeks ago, yep.
So let's say you're already sold out of it, and it keeps up selling at that pace.
We actually are in that position right now.
Oh, do I know too much?
No, I'm just saying Uber Duber is
I'm going to live?
You're going to live.
Okay, awesome.
Uber Duber, for me, is my personal favorite beer that we make. I think it's a very unique beer. I think that it has a very light beer quality to it, regardless of it being an 8% beer. It has an easy drinking, I hate to use the term drinkability, because that's a freaking cop-out.
Well, because everything is technically drinkable.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I say, battery acid's drinkable. Yeah. The drinkability of battery acid. Might burn going down, but... No, so the thing about Uber Duber that I really like is it brings a lot of unique flavors and those Australian hops that are so present in it to the forefront, which is... They're unique flavors for a lot of beer drinkers. It's not that popular yet, and we love showcasing sort of those new world ideas. It's been extremely popular. Last year it was very popular. This year it's been very popular. If I can think about the future for a second, I can see Uber Duber at some point being a year-round beer. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. I would like it to be, personally, but all right. It's sold very well, and I think it's a unique enough beer that it could stick around and be a new thing for us. But
I want to go back to the selling success of Uber Duber.
Mm-hmm.
But first, let's get caught up on Bauhaus, because it's been a minute since you guys have been by.
It has been.
In fact, I think it's the first time since I changed formats.
It has been.
So,
yep.
So let's start there. Let's get everybody caught back up, because you guys have one of the cooler stories of really any business.
It's been hectic, hellish, and amazing all at the same time. So yeah, I mean, if anyone doesn't know or isn't familiar, Bauhaus is basically a family brewery. It's me and my 2 older brothers, both of their wives, one of their wives' fathers, mothers, and sisters. So it's like a legitimate family business. It's also like the best reality TV show that hasn't happened yet.
Why hasn't it?
Well, talk to the right people, we'll make it happen. The 3 brothers yelling at each other and everyone else trying to be like, you guys are just jackasses. Luckily, we have some Maura Schwant and Lydia Haynes are sort of the bosses in charge, man. They keep us all in check, and they do such a wonderful job of it. But yeah, I would say, so we are about 2.5 years into this brewery. We've been very lucky to have success, and we're at the point right now where we're about to do another big expansion here in terms of fermenters and cellaring space. And that's pretty exciting. We've been playing, I should say, we have been playing catch up for a long time.
It seems like you guys have been growing like just a small expansion, and now this next one looks massive. It seems like you guys have been growing almost kind of since day one.
And legitimately, yes, that's been the truth. Which again, we are simply very thankful for the public for. We're very thankful for the want for the beer. I should say, one thing we've really tried to pursue is growth at a natural level. The last thing we want to do is simply expand because we think the possibility is there, the possibility for more sales. We only want to expand because the demand is actually there. And so far, every time we've done an expansion, it's simply because there's been a huge demand for growth. And that's awesome. I mean, we've been very lucky for that situation. But, it's always just a game of trying to play keep up, and that's been unique. That's been part of the fun behind it. But
has a temptation ever been there to just be like, screw it, we're just really gonna max this out?
Well, I mean, That's actually a really good question, especially like right now in the local market, because there's a lot of breweries who've been around now, coming into 2.5 to 3 years, or 2 years to 3 years, who are all feeling that maxed out capacity. The local market is driving it. People are drinking local beer and loving it, and that's why there's not a bubble. Like, there's demand. That's why people are growing. The thing is, at some point in time, the public is going to become either too saturated with breweries, or the public has to grow in terms of its understanding of quality and what they want personally in beer.
Can I bounce a little idea off you? What if it's not a bubble? What if it's a window? I've seen... You remember Venn?
Extrapolate.
You remember Venn
Continue.
Brewing?
Yeah, Venn was supposed to go in.
They're supposed to open.
From us.
They're supposed to open in like May of 2016. Seen nothing from them since. There's a brewery called Hamel Tap Room that was supposed to be opening. I was so excited for them because they were going to be like 3 miles from my house. They have a big sign up that says opening fall of 2016. I went out there in January one day of 2017, and I saw that sign, opening 2016, empty field. Nothing there.
Yeah. Well,
And I think that's what it might be first. I think before we see any of the businesses already open suffer, I think we'll see some breweries in planning.
yeah, that don't
pumping
actually
the brakes.
happen. Yeah. Well, no, totally. And the other issue is, and that's one thing we really didn't want to do, and I think we made a very conscientious effort to only announce our status as a brewery after we legitimately knew we were going to be open and we had a certain timeline. Because there's other places that have opened who announced similar timelines to ours, but are simply opening now, like 2.5 years later. And the last thing you want to do is like throw your name out into the press and get it publicized, and then you're not heard from for 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just completely detrimental to the business. So I think you're right, and I think the other interesting thing that's happening right now is breweries who are coming into or opening in the Twin Cities or Minnesota in general, where I think the people behind the screen, if you will, the people behind the curtain, are thinking it's a money-making opportunity. And I'll tell you fucking right now that that's not true. That's not going to happen. You're not going to be an overnight millionaire, and you're going to have to work your ass off more than you ever thought possible. And, the thing that's awesome is, and I guess in our situation, I can only speak from our own experience, we're busting our asses and we're putting in so many hours a week, but we're loving what we're doing too. And I think it's pretty easy from the public's view to see that Bauhaus is having a damn good time with most of everything we do.
Yes.
Which is super important to us too. I mean, this is supposed to be fun. I mean, I love the quote that it's just beer. It's really what it is, man. So the opportunity to take that, like, obviously the only thing we take serious is our quality of beer. Everything else, it should be fun. It should be this should be a jovial, atmosphere. And we totally bring the party, man, and that's how we want it. We want this to be an inclusive, everyone's welcome, have a damn good time, and that's what it is. And you're not going to be a millionaire. I mean, unless you've struck gold, unless you're building, giant breweries and selling as much volume as you possibly can. But
if you're enjoying what you do for work, you might as well be a millionaire, though.
Oh, good point.
Between you and your brothers Matt and Mike growing up, who's the asshole?
Between those two?
And you.
Oh, I'm the asshole.
You're the asshole.
That's for sure, man. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about it. I'm the youngest, man. I had to.
So the parents probably treated you. They were probably easier on you.
So much easier on me. I mean, I'll say it right now. So much easier on me. I got away with so much shit, dude.
And they were both looking at you like, I never got to do that.
When I was younger, to get attention from my parents, it was to be funny or try to be funny, and like that gave me a lot of leeway when I was like a little bit older. It was, I don't know, he's just a cut up. We'll let him go. Let him be. Oh, he got caught drinking by the police. That's fine. And I'm sure if Matt was in that position as my oldest brother, I'm sure he would have been grounded for months at a time. So yeah, I got off easy. I got off lucky, and I'm definitely still the biggest asshole too. So.
Yeah. Well, you talked about creative forces and you talked about sales, so it's kind of culminating, and now we're going to talk about the videos. So that's one thing that really sets you guys apart, is like with every release, a video comes out with it, and not just some like asshole with an iPhone talking about a beer while you sit there in your brewery and drink it. I mean, your guys are like, you want to talk about a reality TV show? You guys could almost be you guys could almost just make one yourselves.
Hey, at some point maybe we'll think about that. No, I mean the production quality and the story behind the videos. I should say that the driving force behind the videos is, we wanted Bauhaus, the brewery, to simply be an extension of who we were as people. Seriously, that's like all we wanted. We were like, my brother Matt was brewing, we were making up fake holidays, we were having parties, we were having all this stuff before it became a brewery that we are doing now, but on a larger scale. And me and my two brothers come from a background of music. We come from a music, like a performance background. And videos were also a huge part of that. And we all made music videos. We also, me and some of my other friends love to make comedic videos as well.
You do? Are any out there?
Not any that I'm willing to show you. Not that I'm proud enough to show you. Absolutely not. Actually, I'll show you one when this is done.
All right.
I'll show you one when this is done.
All right.
But no, we've got so many unique individuals here at Bauhaus. That's a huge part of our identity as a brewery too. Is everyone who works here is like a legitimate individual and creative and unique and artists in their own way. And that's kind of like our driving force as well. Is we want to hire artists. We want unique personalities and unique individuals. And we started thinking about it when we were getting into our brewery or getting into our first, year of sales, was we should market this and promote this in a unique way. And nobody else was doing videos. And if you look at some of our first early videos, I mean, they're not great. They're us attempting to be funny and not being funny. And it was it was taking on like a bigger challenge. Like, I don't know if you remember the first or the Hairbanger video, which is the slow motion Jean-Claude Van Damme splits heavy metal video we did right out here.
I don't recall it. No.
Okay. Well, after this, I'll show you.
All right.
For all of those who are listening, please check out the Hairbanger video. That was our first like large. I think it was a 25-person. Video shoot,
and I'll try to remember to put a link to it on the podcast links and everything when it comes out.
Yeah, and it was the first time that we worked with a production group as well. Like we work with a group called Urban Mountain, and Harry Reeder, who is kind of the leader of Urban Mountain. His wife Kezia also works here, and he is like phenomenally talented, and he's who we've used for the majority of our videos. And he's like as much of a weirdo as we are, and really gets the perspective that we're coming from. And like all we're trying to do at Bauhaus with our videos is capture who we are as people. We'll know if it's shitty, and we won't put it out, because there's been times where we've canned videos.
Have you?
Yeah, there's been a handful of times where we've shot videos where like this is either shitty or it seems forced, or we just like don't like it. There's a level of excellence that we need to meet, and when I say excellence, then I'm talking about videos where dudes are wearing skin-tight suits running around the Twin Cities.
Yeah, so the last Uber Duber video.
Yes, excellence.
The last Uber Duber video, like, how much in resources, as much as you're willing to disclose, like, money, time, butter, goats, like, what all went into
the last Uber Duber video? I wanted to do it last year, and we just didn't have the resources at the time. And not even resources in terms of like monetary, resources in terms of people and like, I guess time and effort behind everything. But this year, the Uber Duber video, I think our largest expense was solely those suits, the skin tight morph suits, which I think that was our primary, expense. And I would say every goddamn dollar was well spent. But I think that first shot of them running out of the back of the truck and then running into Loring Park, we had our largest cast. We kind of split it up where it was a large cast during the day, split into a smaller cast to do our other shots. And again, Harry Reeder, our director and whatnot, he comes from a film background, so I mean, it's very professional, which is kind of hilarious because, you know, we have like call times for when people need to be here. We have the amount of time they will be here. They split into a smaller group, and we work with that smaller group. I just think it's so funny, like the professionalism brought to something so ridiculous, something so completely unnecessarily like just wild and untamed, unbridled enthusiasm is what I would refer to that video as.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, people also have come to know that we make these videos, or come to understand that we make these videos, and we get requests all the time for people to be a part of them. They ask, you know, what do we need to do to be a part of them? And so actually, some of the cast of the last Uber Duber video are local beer buyers for liquor stores and on-sale beer buyers or creatives from other places we work who like have wanted to be part of a video. And it's like, well, you need to wear a skin-tight suit in the middle of January, and I hope you're okay with that. And most of them...
Do you get naked under those, or how does the
we could not... No, you could...
So you have to wear clothes under
Well, number one, it was so cold out, you should wear something. But I think the most that anyone wore was either a t-shirt and boxers.
Okay.
Which you kind of have to. I'm very surprised that no one got arrested, or we didn't get arrested, because, I mean, it was cold out, and you could really tell everyone was packing AA batteries that day. It was very, very cold. And number two, it was like, you can see everything. There's no hiding. And also, I think, I probably shouldn't even be saying this, but I think you need a permit to shoot downtown in Minneapolis. And we shot on a Sunday, and we didn't encounter any police, or didn't encounter anybody.
So no interference at all?
No interference at all. I think if we did get... Our plan was if we were being interfered with, we would have told them we're shooting a student project for MCTC. That was our cover.
You had the cover already laid out.
We had the cover ready to go. We was like, if somebody was like, you can't do that, we'd be like, no, it's a student film for MCTC. And then they would have been like, okay, you can't do that, but you're not in trouble.
Because you got to come out with the Wagon Party video, the music video for Wagon Party. It's got to start with a wagon comes in, like a horse on a wagon.
You've thought about this before?
Except the wagon is a shower with a shower that goes all the way around, and then I introduce the video, like poking out of the shower.
Because it's the ultimate shower beer.
Because it's a wagon.
It's the ultimate shower beer.
It's the shower beer.
It's the ultimate shower beer. Well, here's what I will tell you. And I can give this away, but our plan is to shoot a video, and almost more of like all of our like promotional videos are usually short and quick and like funny and whatnot. But do you remember the Wonder Stuff video from last year? So that was like a full music video that I made, like song wise and whatnot, dedicated to Wonder Stuff. We're gonna make one of those every year for our core beers for the next 3 years. So this year is gonna be Stargazer, and I'm actually going into studio in mid-March with a group of like amazing local musicians, and we're gonna put together this. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but we're gonna put together a hilarious video for Stargazer, and it's like a little more extended than our normal. It'll be more of like it'll
be like a 10-minute Dream Theater.
Not that far yet, but we are thinking of doing like short videos at some point, like actual short story videos. And increasing our budget and like getting weird, man. I mean, here's the thing. There's a lot of other breweries who've been trying to, I think, have actually tried to do videos since they've seen us be successful with it.
Oh, yeah.
And the difference is, like, we're literally just, like, being ourselves. I mean, we're producing our music. We're producing the ideas. This is, like, us as a whole. And so...
And you're snatching up all the weirdos looking for jobs on the open market. It's a monopoly.
It's a monopoly on weirdos,
You guys are a monopoly on weirdness.
We love it. We're that weird, man.
What's next for you guys?
Well, beer-wise, the next release would be Copper Pop, which is our hoppy red lager, which is going to be awesome. Just in time for St. Paddy's Day. Super... like piney, resinous, Pacific Northwest hops, but also a little bit of rye to give you that like side of the mouth dryness, as well as being a lager, a much cleaner finishing beer than say ales. And so the hops are going to be super present, but also be like a refreshing, clean beer. So I'm very excited about that. In terms of a brewery, man, Ardewurl is going to be a big thing this year. Art World always is for Northeast, and for us this year, it's going to be a pretty large event. And the planning for that has started in November, and we're kind of it has to. Last year we had over 26,000 people at Bauhaus.
Jesus.
We gave what I should say is we gave away 26,000 wristbands between noon and 4:30 p.m. on that Saturday of Art World, and the Art World event runs from Friday to Sunday. Not that there were 26,000 people at total at a time, but I mean there were people coming and going. Which is kind of the fun of Art World too, is you just walk around and go from place to place. Mm-hmm. But I mean that number, we basically the year before it was like doubling, tripling what we had. So this year we're expecting a lot more people and crossing our fingers for good weather, I should say.
Yeah. All right, Mark, as always, I want to thank you for taking the time before we close up shop here. I want to hit him with the website, social media.
So where would you find the Facebook link or what they should be looking at?
Just look up Bauhaus Brew Labs.
All right.
Now that I've taught Mark how to use Facebook, Mark hit him with the website and social media.
Because I'm obviously, because I'm an adult over here.
I just invited him to download the app. He had to download the app first, set up a profile. He had to set up a profile.
Don't make me look like a fool here. I've already done that to myself. You're going to want to go to www.bauhausbrewlabs.com, which is BAUHAUSBREWLABS.com. You can just search us on Facebook. I highly recommend you searching us on YouTube, Bauhaus Brew Labs. And thank you for having me, sir.
Oh, you're welcome. And that is it. Show is over. Thanks again to Andy Carlson. You can catch The Bull Show on all podcast mediums every single day of the week. Look for Purple for the Win on ESPN 1500. Thanks to Mark Schwant of Bauhaus Brew Labs. Be sure to stop down at their tap room just off Broadway and Central. Look for the big bright cans in liquor stores, arrows all over them, polka dots. Great stuff. And thank all of yous. This was the Minnesota Skinny reminding you that whether it's over-agains or shenanigans you've got planned over the whole month of March, always remember what our good friend John Lennon told us. The time you enjoyed wasted was not wasted in Like a Lion.